Hey everyone, name's Zach Flies. Thought I would start off my YouTube channel here. Been something that I've kind of been wanting to do for a while, and have some great in cockpit with ATC comms and all that kind of good stuff coming soon. But I thought I would start off with something that I think a lot of people kind of want to know before they start their flight training, and that is if you want to go with a Part 141 school or a Part 61 school. Both, it's really a personal preference on which one you decide to go with. Kind of depends on how you like to learn. I found that the school, I've done training at both for my PPL. I recently completed my private pilot's license just about a month ago, I think it was, and done training at both. I started my training off here at Gillespie Field years and years and years ago. I was probably a freshman in high school when I first did my training at Golden State Flying Club here in Gillespie, El Cajon, California. Did a ground school there. They were a Part 61 school. Did a few flights with them, and I really wasn't ready to start flight training that young. I had a bunch of other distractions in my life, going through high school, doing the whole high school thing, football, all that good stuff. So kind of stopped flight training a few flights in, and then really restarted flight training. I think it was 2016, and I started training out of Montgomery at another Part 61 school there. And it was a great school. Lots of great planes, flew an assortment of Cessnas and Pipers and all that good kind of stuff. Great instructor, but it was Part 61. So what that means is it was it wasn't very much structure, as I would schedule a lesson with my instructor there. Good guy, his name was Connor. Hear a jet taking off in the background. And we're here at the San Diego Aerospace Museum in Gillespie Field. Bunch of cool planes. I'll probably put some photos and whatnot at the end of the video, but we're right next to the airport here in Gillespie. Big plane. So I did a lot of flights with that Part 61 school. I'm not going to say the school's name. Nothing wrong with them at all, but it just wasn't the structure that I really need to learn. When I would schedule my lessons with the instructor, there wasn't really any communication or anything that was really communicated to me on what we would be working on. I wouldn't know until I'm at the flight school the day of. As we're walking up to the plane, he'll kind of give me a brief on what we were going to do. But I flew with them all the way up to my solo flight. I did my solo out of Ramona. That was the first one in a Piper Archer 28. So the 181 horsepower, awesome plane. It's the plane I actually still train in now. But after my solo, he kind of moved on, did his own thing, went to go instruct at a university, and that kind of put a damper on my training because I wasn't able to find another instructor that really had a good schedule that was compatible with mine, and I wasn't able to do that because I was working full time, So it's hard to find times if you work Monday through Friday. Finding instructors that are available on Saturdays and Sundays is kind of difficult to find that. So took a break from my flight training. I did my solo, I think, at 17 hours, and didn't start flying again until the beginning of February 2019 is when I went back to actually take my flight training super serious. I'm getting older. As years go on, it's harder and harder to go back to school, and harder to separate yourself from whatever normal routine you may be doing at the time. So I wanted to get into it early before I wouldn't be able to. So told my employer I was going to go part-time and start flight training, and started at a really awesome Part 141 school at Montgomery as well. Absolutely love them. The whole team there is amazing. And along with the Part 41 flight training, there's an additional college class that goes with it. So we do a lot of training in Jeppson's self ground school. So log on to Jeppson's website and I knock out a bunch of ground school stuff with them. And that goes alongside of this university that I'm also attending online. I'll get a associate's in like applied science of aviation training or something like that, which was actually really helpful for me because I'm someone who kind of has a hard time learning new concepts and things. So it was cool. It's cool that I'll learn one thing in Jeppson and everything is explained very thoroughly and whatnot, but then I can go over to my online classes and they teach the same thing but say it in a different way, which is really important for me. So that way I can kind of look at it from two different perspectives. Your different schools not all schools are like that. A lot of them will have in classroom instruction where you go to a class and you talk about airspace, you talk about aerodynamics and whatnot. But I like this self-taught thing. I'd sit down, there was structure to it. And that's the thing with the 141 school is Part 141 has an approved FAA syllabus that they submit to the FAA, and the FAA says, hey, you know what? That's a good syllabus, good training syllabus, and it's a lot more structured than what you would get at a Part 61 school, which for me, structure is good. I don't think that there's any compromise in safety with no matter which one you go to, because as you'll learn, the ACS, the Airman's Certification Standards, I believe that's what that stands for. That's basically the Bible of what's going to happen on your check ride. It lays out everything, what the examiner is going to ask you during the oral portion and what he's going to ask you during the flight version, so while you're actually in the airplane. So there's going to be no surprises. The ACS is the same whether you do a 141 school or if you do a Part 61 school. There's going to be no difference. You're held to the same level to the FAA. So if you're kind of wondering if one's safer than the other, or if one airline's going to care if you did a 61 or a 141, to my knowledge, no. I've done some research and found a lot of cadet programs that some of these regional airlines offer. Some of them do have requirements to do your instrument training and your commercial training under a 141 school. I've seen that a few times, but I don't think getting your training from a 61 is gonna inhibit you at all when trying to find a job at the airlines. One of the another jet flying by. Where's I going with that? One of the big popular flight schools, I'm sure that everyone knows, if you're on YouTube and you watch anything related to flight training and you don't have ad blocker on, is ATP. ATP is a Part 61 school, so they don't have that approved syllabus, and I know so many people who've done their training through ATP, and it's a great school, and a lot of them are going to the airlines. My original instructor that I had, he's now just about to head to the airlines. He did his training at ATP. My current instructor now did his instruction at ATP, or did his training at ATP. So it doesn't matter which one you go with. It really just matters on how you learn and what works best for you. So my suggestions would be, go to the flight school, ask for a tour, interview them. You're going to be paying them an obscene amount of money to get your training, and there is price differences between a 61 school and a 141 school from what I found. But you're going to be paying them a lot of money, so you need to know what's going to work for you, because when you take a break in your flight training, let's say you take a break due to funds, that's going to be kind of detrimental to your training, because flying consistently is going to be how you become a better pilot. If you stop and don't fly for a month or two, you're going to lose a lot of skills. So when I went from my solo in 2016 to flying in 2019, although I've done all the stalls and slow flight and all that good stuff, I still found it, there was still a lot of relearning to do. You forget a lot of stuff. But interview them. Interview your school. Ask for an interview. They should be more than willing to give that to you. Ask them questions. Write down a bunch of questions before you go in. That's what I did. And just find out which one's going to work for you, because switching schools, I'm not sure how. Oh, I guess when you switch schools, like I did, my hours that I did beforehand didn't really apply to my 141 school. They started me from page 1 on the syllabus, which is cool, which is fine because I need to learn everything. But just because you do training at one, let's say you do training at your 61 school and you leave to a 141 school, that 141 school, if you left in the middle of your training before you got your certificate, they're going to restart you from square one. Just that way they know you know all the information. But whatever you do, just research it. Ask people around. A big tool that I used was Reddit, the flying Reddit. Really, a bunch of people in there, a bunch of informative people. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to put them in the comments section below, and we can. So yeah, if you have any questions or anything, Reddit, that's a good place to check. We had to restart the camera there. It died or something, or turned off. But Reddit, good community. Join my Discord. I'll put a link to my Discord in the description. We have a bunch of different. There's a few commercial pilots we have in there. We have some CFIs, some people going through their CFI training, some people going through their PPL training right now. So we have a good amount of people who are in aviation currently. So a lot of people can answer your questions there. And also just leave a comment down below, and I'll answer anything that you have. But thanks for watching. Feel free to hit that subscribe button below, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time.